have some surprising stats going on in Lee County and Collier County this week. And when I say surprising, what I mean is it's going against what I thought would have been happening, especially with what we're seeing with interest rates, what the Fed's planning to do, and then also what I've been hearing, with the headlines on Redfin, Zillow, all those places. We're going to dive into those stats right now, and we're starting off with Lee County. So here we have the median sales price for Lee County. This is for single family homes. Median sales price, as you can see, $437, but going all the way back to a year ago, it's only down 1.6% from last year at the same time. That's despite all of the inventory. So we're at 437.9, just down slightly, but it's up from last week, up 8.8% from 402. Next big stat we want to know about is closed sales, because this is a good indication as to where the market was and if things are actually still closing, or we're seeing a lot of pullback where deals are falling through, people are backing out of contracts. So closed sales is 241. That's down 20.7%. Again, interest rates are having a huge toll on closed sales right now. A few weeks ago, interest rates had reached a new high for this year. So that had a huge impact on the amount of people who were putting in offers. As you can see here, not huge changes over the last year. It did decline all the way through to about December and January, and then closed sales started to pick up again. Now that we're out of season, or season's ending, we are starting to see closed sales decline again. New pending sales. Now this is the leading indicator telling you what's going on over the last 7 days. 323 new pending sales. That's up 0.9% from last week. Also up almost 40% from last year at the same time. So you can see the discrepancy here. And since the beginning of the year, we've seen new pending sales kind of increase going into season. And then now that we're coming out of season, we're leveling off a bit, but it's really not declining like I expected to see. Active inventory. No doubt, active inventory has definitely increased quite a bit over the last year with the interest rates rising, people being a little bit nervous to put in offers or buy a home. Inventory has started to increase, and the amount of inventory in Lee County right now for single family homes on the market peaked out in March, 323 at 7,077, and we've slowly been declining. So that right there is telling you that there are more people buying homes than actual inventory is coming on the market, or inventory is staying stagnant and people are still buying homes, which means it's going down. This right here is going to put upward pressure on home prices, which in the situation scenario we're in right now, upward pressure on prices means that they're kind of staying level. Because even though this is putting upward pressure, we also have downward pressure coming from the Fed, now looking to push rate cuts out into probably next year, nothing coming down the pipeline this year. And they also potentially talked about raising interest rates in one of these upcoming meetings. So that's putting downward pressure on prices, but the inventory itself is putting upward pressure. So we're actually kind of stagnating here. And then here's another leading indicator as to what's going on in the market as far as where prices may be heading next. New listings are at 455 this week. That's down 3.8% from last week. And you can see really since the beginning of the year in January, new listings have been slowly declining, making lower lows. So if this trend does continue, that again is upward pressure on prices, keeping the home equity up. All right, now when we zoom out a little bit and we look at since pre-pandemic, this chart goes back to 2017. You can see obviously prices skyrocketed during the 2020 to 2022 era, but they have been on a slow decline projection. Over the last 2 years, we've seen that the prices are making lower lows. You can see right here in October 2023 up through now, prices have been increasing, but on a whole, since 2022 April, they have been slowly, this is a downward trend right now, very slightly, but still a downward trend on pricing. Active inventory, again, this did skyrocket, actually did not touch the peak. 2019 was our peak for all-time active inventory. We did not hit that. We only got up to 10,600, and that has declined now for last week. We'll have to see what this month brings, because this will give us a good idea as to where things are headed. If it's declining again, then we peaked out for the year. And that means that's, again, an indicator for upward pressure on prices. New listings, we actually did put up a new all-time high here, 3,647. But the last 3 months now, we've seen a decline in the amount of new listings coming on. I expect to see that continuing to decline because season is over. Summer is usually one of the better times to list homes in most areas, but Southwest Florida, a lot of people list during season because they're expecting people to come down from the north and see the homes and then decide to purchase towards the end of the season. All right, now moving on to Collier County. When you're looking at single family homes, again, median sales price is on an upward trend in Collier County. It is down over the last month and 2 months, but the trend is upward. It's on an upward slope here. So we had 910,000. That's up almost 6% from last week. It's up almost 21% from last year at the same time. Closed sales, again, we did decline quite a bit all the way through the 2020, the beginning of 2024, the last few months, but it has been on a steady incline. And then lately, over the last 2 months, it's really been starting to even out, like we're seeing in most markets right now. New pending sales, also, you can see the arc here. It did peak out back here in March. March 16th was the peak, and then it's slowly been making lower lows. So that is a downward trajectory as well as we end and conclude the season. Active inventory did increase quite a bit over the last 2 years, but we did again peak out in March, and it has been slowly declining. With that, at the same time, we are still seeing a lot of people. I think it's over 1,000 people moving to Florida every single day. From Sarasota to Naples, I mean, this whole area is one of the, this is like one of the top areas in Florida to move to, outside of Jacksonville and Miami, which have really slowed down quite a bit. And then we have new listings coming on. Again, it's the downward projection here, which is going to put more pressure on prices upward. So that is why you're seeing the median price month over month and week over week continue to increase in Collier County. Now let's zoom out on Collier County, and we'll look at from 2017 up to now. So this is the historical data. You can see we started down here at 336,000 was the median price for a home in Collier. Now we're up here almost to 700,000. We're at 690,000 basically. And you can see it's still continuing to increase and will continue to do so until inventory really changes drastically. And then active inventory in Collier County, you can see there's a huge difference between Lee and Collier. Collier never made it to a peak, never made it even back to what the other peaks were. It's really actually made it to where the lows were pre-pandemic for active inventory. So, and this is on the downward slope again. Again, we'll have to see what comes out in the next week for data, but this is going to be putting, again, upward pressure on prices, which with all the other things that are going on in the economy is going to probably spell out neutral. We're not going to see prices increase. We may see prices decrease a slight amount, 1%, 2%, but most of that's just due to the fact that there aren't a lot of buyers. All right, so now let me break down, what I'm seeing boots on the ground. So I've gone on quite a few listing appointments recently where homeowners who have bought homes in the last year or two are still expecting to sell their home for a profit, and that's including the closing costs. So, let's say you bought the home for $550,000 and, you're still expecting to make a profit. That means you got to be listing the home at least at 600,000 just to, get a little bit of a profit. So that's what we're seeing. And, you also have to look at it from a buyer's perspective. All that data now is public information. You can go on Zillow and see what somebody paid for a house a year or two ago. That can't be removed from those websites, right? So as a buyer, you're looking at that like, what did they do to the house to make this increase worth it? Was it repaired roof, or did they change the AC? Now, a lot of those things sellers look at as like, these are values that are added to my house, but you can't buy a house without a roof. You can't buy, you can buy a house without an AC, but most people aren't going to do that unless it's a great deal, because you have to factor in like, what is the added value to the home? What did you do to make it better? Not just what did you do to maintain it? And a roof, replacing a roof because it's 20 years old, is maintaining the home. That's not actually adding any value to it. Those are the types of things that I'm seeing. Sellers are still expecting to make these huge profits, even though they haven't done a lot of work to them. So they're still selling for profits, but we're seeing those price decreases because they're listing them at prices that are unrealistic to begin with. And then you're seeing the price cut back to what it actually should be. And they're still getting a profit even after the rate cuts or the price cuts. So that's kind of what we're seeing on the selling side. As far as the buying side, there's not a lot of buyers, but there's still a lot of interest from buyers. So when a great deal comes on the market or something that's priced well, it's flying off. I just had a listing that was priced at market value, and we had 3 offers, within the first couple of days, all for asking price. That's what we're seeing. If you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. You can, if you're on your TV or desktop, you can scan the QR code here. It'll bring you right to my contact card. Otherwise, if you're watching this on your phone, my information is in the description. You can reach out to me there. I hope you found that helpful, and I hope you guys will join me for the next video. But until then, stay safe, stay positive, and more importantly, stay free.